Hey guys, FunnyGuyTimmy here. Wanted to change things up a little bit, change up the angle instead of just this the entire time. So recently, I was doing a whole bunch of research on different kinds of pop filters and stuff like that. So I had done a video in the past, and I had always wanted to get myself one of these. These are one of these little, it fits on the microphone itself. It's a little thin mesh grill. It actually has like 3 layers to it. I didn't know it had 3 layers, but it's got this really, the reason I wanted an up-close camera, so hopefully you'll be able to see this. It's got a really thin, it's like a plastic or like a nylon, very thin layer nylon. It's super tightly woven. It's a very thin layer. And then beneath that is a thin metal grill that's kind of like this, but it's much smaller. And then underneath that, on the other side, is a very thin layer of foam, like that. So it's got like 3 layers of deflection. It's also in a curve shape. So why did I bring up the curve shape? Probably wondering. When it's like a flat surface, like one of these guys right here, the air has no choice but to go straight into it. No choice but to go straight into the pop filter. And it's easier to redirect wind than it is to just stop it completely. So these kinds are really good, you may do a better job of decreasing plosives with deflection. But yeah, so there are basically, I think there's like 4 kinds of pop filters or plosive treatment that you can do to your microphone. There's, of course, the foam covers. There's the Gooseneck style pop filters, and those come in 2 kinds, which is the nylon mesh, which is this one's just a single layer. There's ones where it's like a double layer. And then there's ones where it's a metal grill that what it does, it redirects the wind away. It angles it down or off to the side, and it does the same thing that the roundness of that is trying to do, is it's trying to throw the air away from the capsule instead of just stopping it completely. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a few tests. I'm going to do some tongue twisters. Already failed. Some tongue twisters into the microphone with and without different pop filters, and basically kind of to see how good this actually does, and does it compare to other kinds of pop filters. And I've been trying to actually talk into the microphone this time to actually give you some plosives, some examples of plosives, which is something I'm not used to. I'm used to just don't pop the mic. It's just, that's what I'm used to. So give me a second. We're gonna set them up, and I'm gonna basically say the same dialogue over each pop filter, and we're going to see which one does better. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? All right, and there you go. That was all the pop filters all the kind of pop filters that I own. The only one that I don't have, because I don't really know if it's all too commonly used, might be a dead cat style wind cover, which would fit a large diaphragm. I know they exist. You can also get foam covers that are a lot bigger, and there's a lot more foam to them, giving them a little bit more room to work with, or a little bit more depth. But one thing that I've noticed with using foam wind covers is that it can muffle the sound if there's too many layers. For a very long time, I had a very sensitive microphone, and I would use a wind cover and a pop filter, and the audio was always really, really muddy. So basically, I stopped doing that completely. So now it's either the foam cover or a windscreen or a pop filter. So anyway, as my review of this particular product, which will be in the description, as well as all the other ones that I've used, is that it's about as good as this one. It's about as good as one of these. I don't think it's better or worse. I don't think either one of these is, better or worse. The only thing is that you cannot adjust the distance on this one. This one is guaranteed to be about that far away from the capsule. So you can't give yourself more room to work with when working with one of these, as opposed to one of these. The benefit of like setting, don't. The benefit of setting one of these a little bit further away is that the closer it is to you and the further away from the capsule it is, the more air it will stop. Once the air goes through here, it'll start to dissipate and kind of spread out. And so it'll prevent a lot more from going into the capsule. But at the same time, you may hear your air just hitting this thing. So normally the best distance for a pop filter is about like 2 to 3 inches away from the capsule. But depending on how close you are and how far away you are, you might have to move it around a little bit. The only thing that I don't like about one of these is that in the past, you hear that? That metal? When I've gotten really loud, like I've done any yelling or screaming, I will hear this thing ring. I'll hear it actually like a sharp bing sound. And so I pretty much stopped using one of these kinds, though they are good. I think they're best for like singing or just like when you're really in, and you're using more low tones instead of like sharp, quick bing, bing, sibilants, because it's just going to sound way too tinny. Maybe. I don't know. The reason that I wanted to find one of these and review is not everybody is going to have the kind of space to work with to do voiceover or even singing. Most voice actors, myself included, suggest your first voiceover studio being in a closet and just kind of like, setting up a small, intimate setup, for doing voiceover in your closet. And depending on how big your closet is or how big the space that you have to work with can determine what kind of gear or accessories you can buy for your microphone. For example, you can't, like if it's a really small space, you don't got a lot to work with, you can't get one of these big shock mounts for the microphone. Because what's the point? You need all the room and space that you can get. Also, you might not have the ability to get like one of those big arms, those desk arms for a microphone, and you may just have it on like a stand or just a tripod on a counter that you're not touching. If you're using one of those, don't touch the counter. But if that's also the case, you may only be able to get like just a foam cover. What happened to it? I think it's gone here it is. The foam cover or one of these for your pop filter. Now, I was using it for a little bit before I did this video, and I still had to kind of send air off to the side a little bit. But I was using it like relatively close, like about this close, which is a lot closer than I normally do voiceover. I normally do audio. I normally get a little bit further away, giving me a little bit more, room to work with. I like to be, physical. So a pop filter like this isn't entirely necessary for me. One of these is more than enough. Even just one of these, if I'm far enough away and I'm not blowing air directly into it, it's totally fine. But yeah, I think these are a reasonable purchase for treatment, for deflecting air and deflecting plosives. Also, it'd probably be a whole lot better if you were doing like podcasts or Let's Plays or any kind of, vlogging, and you needed the microphone relatively close to you so you can bring the volume down so you don't get that much background noise. Then this is probably a really good bet. This is probably a really good buy. Also, it has kind of a shock effect to it, so it doesn't add to the handling noise if you're just touching it. But I don't know, once it's on there, why are you touching it? So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Again, all of these things will be in the description. If you'd like to see anything else reviewed or talked about, have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. And until next time, peace.